Welcome back to Wise Guys Sports Show with your hosts Wilton Jackson and Julius Kizzy, turning our attention to our unforgettable sports memories. Wilton, what's the first one on the slate?
In 1869, the first pro baseball game was played. The Cincinnati Reds against the Amateurs. The Reds won 24-15.
That's a pretty high baseball score.
Right.
But since it was the first one, then hey, I'll give them, give them a pass. American Professional Football Association forms the NFL, forming with the AFL.
Right. In 1925, New York Yankees Babe Ruth had also surgery.
Chicago Bears win their first NFL game, beating the New York Giants 23-21 in 1933.
In 1947, Jackie Robinson bunts for his first major league hit. Wow.
And Julius Irving, another great Julius in this world.
Gosh.
Every time we come along, we just gotta do something great, man. There's royalty in that name. When you say Julius, don't you just feel it?
Julius Caesar.
Julius Irving. And now you got Julius Kizzy. It just the magic in the name. But anyway, Julius Irving becomes the third NBA player to score 30,000 points. Moving on to our weekly predictions, Wilton, Wizards versus Raptors. Who you got?
You know what? Like I was just talking about it before we came back on the show. Honestly, like this is a 4-5 matchup in the East. The way that the Toronto has fell off, like once they were the second seed in the East, I mean they kind of lost a little steam, going into the months of February, March, and April. So, I'm going with the Wizards. Now Toronto may get them, but I would like to see John Wall progress in the playoffs, within that Eastern Conference, just to see if they can move on to the second round. So I'm going with the Wizards.
I think I'm gonna go Raptors, just because I feel like the Raptors. They're not on a roll, but I feel like the Raptors just match up so much better offensively that the Wizards they just don't have it right now, man. They just don't have it.
And you got to think about it, that's still a very, very young team. But just to see them even make the playoffs, and even just the success that they had this year alone, I'm proud of them as a team. But like I said, I would like to see the Wizards go. But if Toronto goes, it'll be good. But I mean, it's still going to be a good matchup either way. Now, when you look at the Pelicans and Warriors, I mean, my God, my hats goes out to Anthony Davis for what he did with the Pelicans, willing them to the playoffs, competing against OKC, and once Phoenix that was competing for that last seed in the West. But I would have to say Warriors, I mean, hands down, because they just have too much offensive power to be stopped. I mean, you got Klay Thompson, I mean, you got Draymond Green, I mean, you have Andre Iguodala, I mean, and then for God's sake, Steph Curry, we know what he can do. Like I'm just waiting to see who he's gonna shake up in this series. I mean, clearly what he did to Chris Paul.
I got Warriors in 5.
Warriors in 5. Yeah, like I said, I honestly potentially I don't want it to be a sweep because I want it to be entertaining. But
you going with a sweep?
It possibly. It
I need an answer. These are predictions. These ain't superlatives.
I give New Orleans one game.
So we both going 5. All right, we got Bucks and the Bulls.
That's a good series too, but I think I'm gonna go with the Bulls simply because they've shown me that they can win without a healthy Derrick Rose. And then look at the other players around him. Like Jimmy Butler, I
got Bulls in 7.
He really stepped up. You think it's going to 7 games?
7.
5 or 6 for me.
I got Bulls in 7.
I don't think it's quite 7 games.
Crazy things have happened in the NBA.
And you're right, but I don't think this series.
How many games you got it going?
At the most 6.
So. Wilton, you're not giving me predictions. You giving me what
6
ifs.
games.
Okay.
6 games.
You can't just go extra game, Wilton?
Nope. I can't. Extra game.
Mavericks and my hometown Houston Rockets.
I'm gonna let you decide that first.
The Mavericks, they're such a good offensive team, and Rick Carlisle is a former champion. I'm going with the upset. I'm going Mavericks over the Rockets.
What?
In 6.
Are you serious?
I'm so serious.
So you're going against your home team?
I'm going against some. Because our Houston basketball doesn't translate into the playoffs. It just doesn't.
Wow.
It just doesn't.
Julius, I'm shocked. I'm scared.
For what?
I'm alarmed.
Wilton, you sound man. I just don't see the Rockets play just translate. I want them to get past the first round. I want them to go far. I want them to go to the conference championship.
Right.
But I just feel like their basketball just doesn't translate to the playoffs.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I think that Houston can get Dallas in the first round. Now, do I think Houston goes to the championship? I don't. I think they'll get out the first round though.
How many games you got it going?
Now this could be a 7-game series.
So you got 7?
Yeah. I'll put 7 this. And even though Houston is a second seed and Dallas is a 7th seed, I really could see this series going down to 7 games. For some reason I could see Game 7, Grant Allen
in Houston,
right, with James Harden on the line to score the game-winning shot.
Man, if that game is by the time we got out of school, best believe I got a front row seat. Celtics and Cavaliers.
Hands down, Cavaliers. Like
how many games?
Honestly, it could be 4. If Cleveland continues to play like the way they played towards the end of the season, like they're unstoppable.
I'm putting you down for 4.
That's a sweep.
I got 5 games. I feel like there's one game that Celtics are just going to come out and just show that they have a fight in them. But I feel like the size of the Cavaliers with LeBron to Kendrick Perkins to Timothy Mozgov to Tristan Thompson,
and then the Cavaliers are gelling at the right time. That's the most important thing about ending the season and going to the playoffs. Those teams, they can really gel and come together, like in terms of team chemistry, right before the playoffs start. Because a lot of times, some teams, like for example, at one point in time, Atlanta, I feel like they ended the season okay, but like they were like amazing. But then at the same time, they went through that like slump within like the month of March. And then it was just like, they came back and kind of finished strong.
Exactly.
But my thing is, like, to see Cleveland the way that they were playing, before the season ended, like, I mean, who's going to stop them?
You got the Cleveland in a sweep.
Yeah, I do.
Nets versus the Hawks.
I'm going with the Hawks. I'm definitely going with the Hawks.
I'm going with the Hawks in the sweep.
Yeah.
I feel like the Nets just don't have the answers offensively.
They don't.
Trailblazers versus Grizzlies.
Now, this is going to be a good series.
5 games. Grizzlies in 5.
In terms of their defense, if they can play consistent defense, I'll definitely give it to Memphis.
And because I don't see the Blazers having. It's a combination of 2 things. I feel like the Blazers don't have enough defense to stop the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies sometimes offense, and I feel like the Grizzlies can hold the Blazers to a little leakage when it comes to offensive production. Spurs and Clippers.
Spurs. You know what? And this is probably bad that I say this, but every time I think of the Clippers, I just think of a team.
Spurs and how many?
5 or 6. I'll say 5.
I'm going with another upset. This is against all my judgment.
The Clippers?
This is against all my judgment, everything I believe in. But I feel like the Clippers are going to beat the Spurs.
Come, Julius, are you serious? I mean, now they are
7 games.
They're a talented team, but.
I know it takes a David to knock off a Goliath. This might be the year Chris Paul gets past the Clippers. Eagle Fest 2015 next weekend, where we have our highly anticipated Wise Guys Sports Show finale. Eagle Fest 2015, the aftermath of it, where we have some guests coming by that might be a little high profile. You have Southern Miss Sports in baseball. Southern Miss takes FAU in the 3-game series. Who you got?
I'm going with Southern Miss, and they're on a roll right now.
How many games?
I say 2-1. It's a 3-game home series, and this is Eagle Fest this weekend. They're gonna have a strong home crowd at the peak, so I feel like they can get 2 games.
Southern Miss is going to win 1 game.
1 game?
FAU is ranked, and they also are in Conference USA. Southern Miss hasn't done great in Conference USA, and FAU is visiting, and they're trying to prove a point to get back to the regional, but also Southern Miss is trying to make a regional. But I just feel like FAU is just going to take their hearts right out. No, I got to be more positive about my school, man.
Yeah, you do, because I definitely could see Southern Miss.
Oh, maybe if I was Mr. Southern Miss, maybe I could be a little more positive.
Anyway, softball, USM, Middle Tennessee.
Me and Coach Oak had a really good interview this morning. I loved it. She's a great woman, and I feel like this team has to peak sometime. Like she has to reach those players sometime. I gotta win in 1 game.
I feel like they can win 2, because think about it. Middle Tennessee is last, because softball is broken into 2 different divisions in Conference USA. So Middle Tennessee is last, and USM is last right now. So I feel like USM could sneak 2 games away.
All right, everybody, that wraps up the show today. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WiseGuysSports_. Make sure to check us out on Facebook at Wise Guys Sports for the latest sports news, and follow us personally on our Twitters at Wilson Reports and Julius_Kids. Until next time, this is Wise Guys Sports.